back through last week's Tulsa game. Thought, again, Baker Mayfield, as everyone has talked about, was really exceptional. Setting a record of all-purpose yards. Did an excellent job throwing the football, 32 of 38, I believe, something like that. And did a great job also running with the football. They had some good coverage on a few of our route combinations, but then the middle of the field opened up, and he was able to take advantage of that and run for some really good runs. And the only downside of the day was probably the two fumbles. The first one is really critical when you're talking about team playing together. At that point in the game, there's a minute 23 left in the second quarter. We're really controlling the game, 31-10. You have a chance to extend your lead and finish out the clock in the half, and then that doesn't happen. And then we give them the ball back, give them the opportunity. They score, get a fluky onside, not an onside kick, but get the ball hit back to them, and then they get the Hail Mary at the end of the half. So all of a sudden you go from a chance to be up 34, 38 to 10 to now you're in the game because of the way the last minute 20 played out. And and that's on us. We ought to be able to hold the football, and so that part of it changed things. And thought overall, though some of the other guys, I guess, that played good, players of the game, Baker Mayfield and Jonathan Alvarez playing up front at center for Ty Darlington, really did a good job. And all those guys up front really played well for Derek Forniak in a new position at guard, and on and on. Thought they really did well. Sterling again had a big day with a lot of big plays. Defensively, I thought we had our stops, but overall, still the last play and a couple of third down plays we needed to be better, and then the last play of the half was poor. And oddly, we've practiced that more this year than we ever have, and still we needed. One of our corners wasn't deep enough and in position. I thought Ahmad did a good job challenging for the ball, and but anyway, they did it. They did a good job executing it. We got to work it more, but overall, and then in the second half, again, we came up with some decent stops to give us a chance to extend the lead, and compliment them. They're doing an excellent job with spacing and with all the receivers, and quarterback's an excellent player. They did a really good job in making some plays as well. Guys that were players of the game defensively, guys up front, we gave the players of the game. Charles Tapper, Charles Walker, and Matt Romar were our players of the game. Anyway, and then special teams were all solid. Cover units were good. And I thought Austin Seibert and Nick Hodgson really hit the ball well when they had their opportunities. This week we're going to practice Monday through Thursday and really focus these first few days, first couple of days for sure, on our development offensively and defensively. Correct some mistakes from the last couple weeks, on both sides of the ball that we feel we could be better. So we're going to really take our time to do that here in the next few days, and then later in the week get some extra work on West Virginia.
What's the status of Jordan Thomas?
Jordan Thomas is expected to practice today and expected to be available to play in the next game.
Bob, during the game at that corner with PJ and things, and not just PJ, but how you guys were covering them, and now that you've had a chance to look at the film and things, what did it look like secondary? Were they close? Were they battling? Were they out of position? Was it fundamental?
No, I mean they were on people. They got beaten covered sometimes. It's simple as that. And you can only cover somebody with so many people if you want to be able to stop the run or stop somebody else on the other side. So some of the coverage just needs to be better.
Bob, talked to one of your former players, and who was on the field Saturday, and he ran into a current assistant coach for Baylor on the sideline. It was on the Tulsa sideline. Is that something you were aware of? And
I didn't find that out until after the game, but that's that seems to be. I don't that's a pretty fundamental rule. That's not allowed. So I don't know what he was doing here.
Does that bring up bigger concerns about?
Well, it's something that needs to be reported and needs to be dealt with through the Big 12 office and our people. So I'm sure they will. I've got a team to coach, but they'll handle those matters, I'm sure, and the NCAA will.
Coach, why was the running game more productive on Saturday, especially given the injuries to the offensive line?
A little bit of just execution. Sometimes it's a little bit of what the other team is doing as well. So just overall, we did a better job executing the run game, and I thought again I should have mentioned Samaje again was exceptional in his running, but I thought Joe and Daniel Brooks both did a nice job as well when they had their opportunities, and so we need to keep getting it better, and I think again I know that's something we're going to keep emphasizing.
Coach, you're headed into conference play now, and you're feeling good, got 3-0 and pretty healthy. On the other side of it, what would be your bigger concerns at this point?
Well, I think everything's a concern. We've got to be better in every area. You go back 2 weeks ago, and offensively we didn't do a thing until the fourth quarter. We got to get that better. And then this week there's several plays I felt we could cover. As I just said to James, we could cover in some areas better. And so, those are things that just overall we've got to get better in every, everything that we're doing. A year ago, kickoff return, we were one of the top in the country, and it hasn't been as good this year. We've got to, so every part of the game we've got to, after only 3 games, and we've got to keep pushing to improve in every area.
How would you describe how you feel at this point?
Excited, pleased? I feel good that you're 3-0, but anxious that you've got to improve. But I've feel like that after 3 games every year. You're never where you want to be in 3 games when you look at all the games that are ahead of you. You got to keep making improvement.
Bob, when you have a player like PJ who kind of gets thrown into the fire, like you said, didn't really know he was going to be playing that much till Friday, had sort of a rough game. Can that be tough for a freshman to
it can
overcome?
Be.
And how do you handle that?
Well, just to let him understand that we understand he hasn't had that much experience on the field. You got thrown into a bad, tough situation with, the number of snaps you're given in practice to now you've got to play the whole game. And, so just to keep your head up and your confidence and keep working your technique and practicing. And he's a talented young man that'll just learn from it, I believe. And he's a smart guy, too, that'll learn from it and just, get better from it. But, he was thrown in a tough situation with limited, he has his snaps in practice, but, ones always get more. And so, but again, we really, he's a really good player that's going to learn from it, I believe.
Will you divide up the snaps more between PJ and
Jordan
going forward?
We'll see as we go.
How do you feel about the grasp these guys have on this new offensive system after 3 games?
It's been, which day, which game, so it was positive the other day, but, the turnovers can't happen. I know it's easy for the media and the fans to overlook until they really hurt you. That one hurt us, and they all do. That's what it's. So that part, has to get better. So, but the offense has shown signs, and I like the direction it's going. I've got confidence in it and feel good about it, but we've got to keep getting better with it.
Coach, every defense has weaknesses. Cover 2, 4 verticals, definitely something that you have to work on. Right now, 3 games in with your secondary, do you concentrate more on the weaknesses of the coverage, or you concentrate more on the technique of the guys that are applying it?
Both coverages and technique. At times this year for 2 games it was exceptional. Wasn't as good, but again, credit them in some areas. Us, we can be better in some areas. But you can only cover so many ways. And we had guys on them. They beat the coverage. So we've got to do a better job fundamentally and do our best to change up the coverages as best you can. But there's only so many available to you.
Is that one thing that you kind of find frustrating? Because a lot of defensive guys look at spread offenses and they try to hit you in that weak spot or that sweet spot. Is it something that you like to see as far as the guys that you coach, but almost kind of get to the point where it gets frustrating when you're playing against somebody that's trying to do the same thing to you?
No, I mean that's the game. I mean that's what everyone. That's why you're. That's the game of football. Everybody's trying to attack something one way or the other, but it'll always be that way.
Bob, you mentioned the kick return game, wanting to get that better. When you have an All-American level guy like Alex who had so much success last year, and people are trying to find ways to not kick it to him, how do you improve that? Do you just have to find creative ways to do it?
Well, much as anything, he's had his hands on. We've got to block better for him. Alex doesn't do it alone, and it's never been that way. So that's my point was we've got to do a better job, of protecting them and giving them some opportunities, and that's where we've got to keep pushing to get better.
Bob, the obvious thing to a fan or any of us watching is, for example, Sanchez playing off a little bit. I don't know what you're playing there, but is it something that can be adjusted in his alignment on some of those slants and stops and things?
If they want to go back and look, there were several of them caught when he was up on them too. So there's no magic to it. I mean, a lot of people play off. You mix it off and on, but when you're up bumping them, doesn't mean nothing's going to be completed. I've seen slants completed on guys up bumping every day, and I've seen people run by them. Not Zach in particular, but anybody. So that's not always the right answer.
Is Baker Mayfield's appeal process finished? Is there anything left?
I believe there's still some things left. Yes.
Is that after the season?
I don't know when it'll be. They don't. That's not up to me to. They haven't told me when that'll be.
Baker's elusiveness, breaking tackles in specific, is that a skill or is that just a mentality that he has?
It's a both. I think it's a innate ability. Some guys are just naturally can do it. I don't think it's something you can really practice. It's just a knack, a God-given ability that he has to feel it, to step out of it, to extend plays, to instead of running it back up 5 yards and throw the ball. He just has a feel for it.
He said that he hasn't really practiced a scramble drill since he was with scout team last year, and you guys had him doing a little bit of everything. Do you think at all about maybe doing a little more scramble drill for him now because that's become such a part of his game?
Well, I don't know what he means by that, but we a couple of times a week do a scramble drill without a D-line, but where he's rolling right and the receivers all adjust their routes to right or left to the direction he's going. So, the offensive coaches do that quite a bit on where the receivers are going to be located. Now we don't have the D-line chasing them, but he seems to do it pretty well without having practiced it a lot.
Has his running ability surprised you?
Pardon me?
Has his running ability surprised you?
No, because we've, as Jenny brought up last year, scrambling around with our defense and all the practices we go against each other, I've seen them run around a lot. And I've seen, because we don't tackle them in live situations out here, I've seen guys halfway touch his pad and they're begging for a sack, and I got the whistle back there. I don't blow it. So you didn't have them. So I've seen them a lot running around.
There's only one Johnny Manziel, but does he remind you at all of some of the things Johnny Football did?
Oh, geez, yeah. That's a big body of work what Johnny had. So let's give Baker more time and. But he in a couple of games, the last couple of games, he's shown signs of that, of being able to extend and make some plays when they're really not there, and so hopefully it's encouraging, and hopefully he could keep doing that.
You mentioned earlier about Alvarez, and you said he's one of your better players in this game. He's played now guard and center. He was a very limited. I mean, he wasn't a heavily recruited kid at all, and yet he's turned out to be a really good player for you.
Jonathan's an excellent player. He really is, and he's the only freshman a year ago that played in the line, and I know he didn't play much, but he was ready to, and he had all those snaps, through the year, and that's made him better this year. But he's playing well and did a good job, and really, I said you know, the first third down when he snapped the ball, it's debatable whether that guy's offsides or not. You know, you turn it into the league and we'll see. And I'm not, again, complaining. It's just, you know, you could see why he did it. And he was right to snap the ball. The fourth down one, now that shouldn't have happened. But he's learning, first time in there. And again, our fault, too, putting him in that situation maybe a second time, you know.
A few years ago, you said that OU was being handed an unfair amount of night kicks. And now you're kind of dealing with the opposite problem from last year and also this year. Do you have any problem with kicking off in the morning so often?
Yeah, I do have a problem with it, and I'm sure our administration does and fans do. So we'll, you know, express that to the league, and hopefully everybody can have a fair amount of early and late kicks and mix it up a little better.
He's getting a lot more production from a lot more receivers this year as opposed to last. Is that Coach Riley's system? Is it your personnel has improved? What is it?
I think both. This system requires a lot of receivers to step up and make plays and to use the space to field with everybody and use everybody. That's how this system works. And we've had also more guys, you know, with the ability to make plays are doing so.
What makes Mark Andrews unique and helped him Saturday?
Size. You know, Mark's, you know, has got all of 6'5" and has, you know, runs well, but that's a big target. But good route runner, exceptional hands. You know, really good understanding. Just like Baker scrambling for him to find space, find a hole. You know, just Mark, and then, you know, he's, I don't know, 250, 245. He's got, you know, he could come in and block people well. So he does a lot of things really well.
I think that redshirt year last year really helped Mark.
You know, Mark, I don't, redshirt years, you know, help everybody usually, but, you know, every year helps you, you know, so he'll only keep getting better.
Coach, people tried to load up the box the last two games. Baker Mayfield goes off this week. Do you see defenses now having to respect your passing game as opposed to just trying to load up and just stop your run just because of the game you guys had last weekend?
Yeah, hopefully. You know, the passing game, you know, they really played similarly the last couple of teams and coverages and whatnot. But, you know, the passing game was a lot better in this game than it was the week before, and we got to keep getting it better. But, you know, hopefully there's only so many ways you can deploy to stop the run, and if they're going to be heavy on it, then we've got to be able to throw the football, and you know, we did the other day.
To follow up on Brady's question about scheduling equity, you guys are going to go through Big 12 play without another bye week. Are you worried about that?
Not really. You know, sometimes you get in a rhythm of playing, and it you know, it can be good. You know, I always think back to, you know, the 2000 year. We had all those teams right in a row, and it got to be where you really didn't want another. You know, you wanted to keep playing because of the rhythm you got in. You know, so hopefully that's the case. But, you know, you've got to get in that kind of rhythm and stay healthy, and hopefully we can.
What's the injury situation?
Ty is expected to be back this week, as is Neela. Neela, as you saw, was close to playing, you know, the other night, just couldn't quite do it. And then I think everybody's Jordan Smallwood's right now scheduled to be back the week of Texas, I believe. But everyone else is, let me think here, who am I missing? Oh, Rodney, you know, you knew that. Rodney had, but I think everyone else we got was fine the other day.
Well, as you look around the country, do you have any feel for anything that's happening, that a trend, or that anyone's dominant that's not, or it's wide open? Or
no, it's pretty wide open. I mean, there's, you know, like every year, everyone wants to jump to the end of the year. There's a lot of football. There's only 3 games played, so you know, everybody's got a lot to learn.
You talked about decision making.
Would you like to see the league do something and set a maximum number of 11s or evenings, or is there?
Sure, that's what I was saying. Hopefully it'd be some kind of equity on how many late or early, you know, games you get, and get a mix for everybody, you know.
Can you talk about that amongst schools at this point?
You know, Joe would probably be talking about that more than I would be to Big 12 offices and or TV networks, you know.
Is there an ideal kickoff for you? Just you guys? What would you prefer?
As long as we get to kick it. So, doesn't matter.
Talk about decision making for Baker Mayfield. What about the decisions to take off and run when it's available? What does that add to your team when he makes those smart decisions?
Oh, it adds a lot, and the ability to escape it. And there's a couple of times the other day where we had nice route combinations, but they squeezed them and did a good job, covering. But the way it all happened, they were all wide, and in the middle of the field opened up, and he took off. And he's quicker than his 40 time is. He just has a knack for it.
What is his 40
does
time?
that scrambling ever make you nervous?
No, not really. You don't want him. He's hopefully can find his way down without taking big hits, and he's kind of done that. So you don't want him hit much, that's for sure. But he's done a good job so far of not being able to do that.
What is his 40 time?
Not sure. I'm gonna have to ask. I never really cared. So
Joe Mixon seems like he's just in the groove. And also, can you address, he was on a bike a lot on the sideline. Is there a nagging issue with him?
it's probably just staying loose. But no, there's he's been practicing and doing everything full go. And Joe is playing really well. He's got incredible hands. Showed a lot of power the other day. Some great cuts, and again, just he needs to hold the football better.
Last season or in seasons past, have you guys kind of held the reins closer in terms of letting your quarterback run?
No.
Bob, young guys aren't always willing to wait for their turn, especially 3 years, like a kid like Daniel Brooks. How much do you appreciate someone who's willing to stick it out like that?
Yeah, I really appreciate Daniel, who's really been a positive guy. Even, say last year didn't have a lot of snaps on offense, but goes out there and makes all kind of plays on special teams. And he's really been a positive guy here in everything that he's done. And really see, in some of the things we're doing, he really can bring a spark, with his exceptional speed. So, so we'll keep finding the right, spots and plays that he can really make happen, and he did really well the other day.
When he suffered the knee injury he suffered at the end of his high school time in track, were you worried he wasn't going to get that speed back?
Not really. Not in today's world. The doctors and medicine, and it's all so good, and how they repair and all the rehabilitation techniques. You see most everybody comes back and able to regain their speed and strength after those, most of the time anymore.
What have you seen from the offensive line in terms of progression, and are they on track?
Well, again, we only have a few games. I think there's more there. I think it'll help, of course, getting two senior captains back should help us. Was encouraged to see Derek Forniak in there do so well at the guard position. So that may, be a boost to us too. So we'll see. It's a work in progress.
Bob, you seem to have two pretty dynamic defenders in Stryker and Vaughn, but they may not. It doesn't seem like they're on the field all that much together. Is that something you see changing, or?
It's you'd like it to be, but when people are out there with four wide receivers, they don't match up covering those wide receivers real well. So there's only you're limited on what you're able to do. So again, depending on how people play and what personnel they play with, you can only do so much. Unless you trust them out there covering a wide out on a go route. I don't think that's what they do. So again, some of it is determined by what they allow you to do.
What are the chances that Kenyon Frison gets on the field soon?
Not soon. So I don't know when that'll be.
Bob, has Frank just had a hard time getting back in the groove of things? Is that why he hadn't been out there much on defense, or I know Jordan's played really well.
Yeah, no, Frank's doing a good job, and we got to keep trying to get him, his share of snaps too, and spell those guys. And so, no, Frank's doing a really good job.
I know you guys were really impressed with Austin Roberts when he first got here. Has he made any more progress to where you might?
Yeah, he's getting better and better. He is. So we'll see.